Welcome back to Tabletop Assault. I'm Ross, and today I'm going to do my overview of the Chaos Knights Codex. So I'm sure many of you have already seen a couple of things at the moment, certainly a few stratagems, relics, and obviously units themselves. So I'm going to go over these myself and give you my opinion on this and sort of the Chaos Knight book in general. So what I want to mention is that I'm really pleased with the Chaos Knight book and the fact that we even got one. I would have probably have said, a couple of years ago, most Chaos players have been like, cool, we're not really going to get a codex of knights, similar to the Imperial one, because basically, they always sort of seemed like an afterthought thing. They did the Renegade box and everyone was very happy with that. It really, really did help. And then we obviously got Renegades in Chapter Approved last year. And we're all like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, we don't get as much of Imperium, but that's kind of how it goes. So it's very nice to see that, they have given a Chaos Knight Codex filled with, stratagems, relics, and Warlord Traits, and also you've got your sort of household stuff as well. So it's very nice to get that, and I think it was an incredibly good call. I'll probably go into a bit more into my summary, but it's really nice to see the actual codex in itself. So let's go into a wee bit. I've written down notes obviously so I can discuss it in a bit more detail. So in the book you've got quite a few different units. You've got your war dogs, which is your sort of armature equivalent. Well, I've got them right here. Yeah, you've got your war dogs, which is sort of equal to armatures of both variants. The way they just deal with it is that you just change the war gear rather than having two entries similar to the Imperial Knight book. Your Knight Despoiler is sort of, your Knight Despoiler is, I believe, now I don't play Imperial Knights too much, I play them on occasion, is your sort of Paladin, Warden and Crusader variant. I think it's your sort of general use one, and it is the one you get in the box, in the actual box. It has the Engine of Destruction ability, so if this model is equipped with one Reaper Chainsword and one Thunderstrike Gauntlet, adds an attack and a weapon skill characteristic by 1. So that is very much, I think, the same as the Knight, is it the Knight Gallant who has that one, that basically hits on 2s and gets an extra attack. I've got the Imperial Knight Codex here for reference, but basically so you can get that equivalent, it's the Knight Gallant of getting 5 attacks and hit on 2s, is the Knight Despoiler, though there is an additional one on top of this as well, and I'll go into it later. So instead of having all these various different ones, it's kind of just put into there, and it has its weapon upgrades. I've not checked all the weapon differences to make sure they all match, though I'm 90% sure they are. However, I can confirm this model can be equipped with one of the following instead of a Thunderstrike Gauntlet, one Avenger Gatling Cannon. So there's your other one. And this model equipped with one of the following can be equipped with one of the following instead of a Reaper Chainsword, one Avenger Gatling Cannon. So you can essentially replace your Reaper Chainsword and your Thunderstrike Gauntlet to dual wield the Avenger Gatling Cannons. I'm not sure if they're still as, everyone's go-to. I mean, it used to be my go-to, and I still think it's absolutely awesome to dual wield them, and I don't think Imperial Knights can do that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it appears that Chaos Knights certainly can. Whether you can from the box itself, I don't know if it comes with 2. I don't know, I've not seen the box. I really want to, and I certainly will shortly. But I don't believe it does come with 2 Avenger Gatling Cannons. And what I would say in that one is buy 2, make 1 shooty with 2 of them, and make 1 combat, because the combat ones look amazing. Don't do that, I mean, it's up to you, but I believe you certainly can do the dual wielding Avenger Gatling Cannon, but I don't think you get 2 in the box. I can't confirm that because I haven't got the box. I think if you have gone online now that people have discussed it, so you can maybe look into that one, but you certainly can still do it by what I can see in the codex. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's your sort of general use one. You've then got the Knight Tyrant, which is going to be your Castellan and Valiant equivalent, so that's like your big one with 28 wounds, and I think it's got all the sort of similar stuff, you just basically, this model can equip 1 Configuration Cannon and 1 Thunder Coil Harpoon instead of the Plasma Decimator and Volcano Lance. Basically, instead of being 2 different profiles, put it into 1. Kind of like that, and I kind of prefer that, to be honest. Knight Desecrator is your Knight Preceptor equivalent. So that is, again, has this sort of it's got the Taskmaster rule, which is reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by models in friendly Quest or Tutorius War Dog units while they're within 6 inches of this model. So that helps upgrade your War Dogs, your Armigers, if you will. So that's really nice to have that one. And then you have the Knight Rampager, which I'm 90% sure is kind of like it's the your Knight Gallant equivalent, though you can, I think, make the Knight Gallant equivalent through the spoiler, and essentially by looking at it is more or less the same in just about every regard. It has 5 attacks and 2+ to hit, similar to if you were to take the dual wielding Chainsword and Thunderstrike Gauntlet. It has an additional rule though. When resolving an attack made with Chainsword or Thunderstrike Gauntlet by this model, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. So it's not like, you get an extra attack, you get an additional hit straight off the bat. It is unmodified, so yep, and it's only when it's done with the Reaper Chainsword and the Thunderstrike Gauntlet. If it was done with the Titanic feat, that would be awesome. That would be really good because you have a chance against 15 attacks. You might get a further 2 hits out of it, maybe 3, which would be really, really good. So it's really, really cool to have that. Which I don't think the Imperial Knights do. They might have stratagems and households that give an equivalent. But I would say that in terms of points though, I think it works out to be, far, far, far higher in terms of points. I need a bit more clarity when it comes to the points system. Basically, there's 2 different profiles for Knight Despoiler. Knight Despoiler has 285 itself, while Knight Despoiler with Reaper Chainsword and 1 Thunderstrike Gauntlet is 305. So, it's a bit higher to have the Knight Despoiler with those weapons. It mentions if it's got those weapons. Now, I don't think it's going to include the War Gear. I think that's basically so you can have your +1 attack and +1 weapon skill. In which case, it's actually not that many more points to just go with Rampager. It's basically, I think, an extra 15 points. And you get an extra rule that if you score any 6 hit, you get an extra hit. So whether it's 15 points, you want to go, I might get an extra hit, and that's 6. Up to you, and even at its lower degrading skill, you're still hitting with weapon skill 4+, bliss skill 5+, but you don't care about that if you go the Rampager. So maybe 15 points more. Now that I look at the Despoilers, probably you're going to still have to pay for War Gear. Maybe 15 points more, having a chance to get an extra hit is kind of good. Up to you guys. But it's nice to have that extra one with a wee bit of an extra rule. It's kind of handy. So, I've already talked about the sort of Avenger Gatling Cannon. It can sort of, I believe, dual wield. Don't know if it's going to be in the box. Debatable on that one. I won't go into that anymore, but nice to know that you still can. Now, you've got your sort of household equivalents, Might of the Fallen Houses. So you've got your Ironclast Household Ambition and Infernal Household Ambition. So the Iconoclast Household Ambition, if a model with this ambition made a charge move, was charged or performed heroic intervention, add 1 to the model's attack characteristic until the end of the turn. And the armor penetration of melee weapons the model is equipped with is improved by 1 until the end of the turn, e.g. AP 0 becomes AP -1. In addition, when an enemy unit fails morale test while within 12 inches of this ambition, 1 additional model flees. That's pretty good. An extra attack is always handy, especially if you're using Titanic feat. It can become up to 3, and also having an improved AP is very nice, especially in Titanic feat. That's going to be devastating. The Infernal Household Ambition is a little bit more risky, but kind of cool. At the start of the movement phase, each model with this ambition can use Demonic Surge. If a model uses Demonic Surge, it suffers 1 mortal wound, and then you roll a d3 on the table to the right to determine the rule that applies to the model until the start of the next movement phase. When a model uses Demonic Surge, you can choose for that model to suffer d3 mortal wounds instead of 1, and if you do, you can select the result from the table instead of rolling to determine it. Model can only use Demonic Surge once per battle round. So no once per battle round. So you've got Demonic Hunger, which is add 2 to this model's move characteristic and 1 to advanced charge rolls. That's the one I'd probably say is probably the weakest. You move quite a lot already. If you need that extra movement, 2 inches, then +1 charge in advance, not as ideal. Demonic Fortitude, add 1 to the model's toughness characteristic. So on average, that's going to bring you up to 9. maybe 4 War Dogs. I think that they're toughness 7. Yeah, they're toughness 7, so it brings them to 8. That's really handy. If your opponent knows they're facing Knights, then they're probably got a bunch of, you know, things are going to take them down. So missile launchers, for instance, are going to start wounding you in 5s if you're toughness 9, and even last cannon's toughness 4. So just that extra 1 bit of toughness does add a lot. Bringing you up to toughness 9, which is kind of difficult to do, is going to be really, really worth it if your opponent's got the weaponry to do so. So yeah, I can sort of dig it. That's really good. It's only really going to affect things sort of like strength 8 and 9, because strength 5 stuff is going to be just the same. Yeah, it's only going to affect stuff that's strength 8 and 9, but you know, if opponent knows they're facing Knights, they're probably going to bring a few of that. And then you've got Demonic Power. Select 1 ranged weapon this model is equipped with. Add 1 to the weapon's strength characteristic and damage characteristic. So that can be pretty good as well. I mean, the amount of weapons, you know, ranged weapons you can get, adding a strength and a damage characteristic is going to be gnarly. I think that is pretty good as well. I think between the two of them, I usually go, when it comes to traits and things like that, I always go, I prefer more guaranteed things because then I know how to strategize around them. So part of me would go iconoclast household, because I know when I charge I'm going to get that. But the Infernal households, I mean, the bonuses that are there are really, really good. So part of me would say, see if I had first turn, I would almost always suffer D3 mortal wounds and just, you know, choose my abilities that I want. Mostly ranged, maybe the extra movement one that I could really threaten my opponent. I'm sure many people are going to strategize on that one. What I'd say is a weakness in that one is that we only get 2 of these. That is the only 2 sort of household ones you get, compared to Imperial Knights, which I believe get 9. They've got 5 for their sort of, I think, your general house one, then 4 for Mechanicus. Refero. Yeah. So Quaestor Imperialis household traditions, you get 5. Quaestor Mechanicus, you get 4. So it's really not nice that we only got 1 of each, but I'd say both are very, very good. I'm completely happy with them. Where you get in codexes, you have like 7 or 9 legion traits, etc. And you go, well, half of them are pointless. These 2 are both good depending on your playstyle. Which one's better? I'll go into that in a little bit later. So next we're going to go straight up into stratagems. So stratagems, I'm going to summarise these pretty good. Generally, very, very good. Page 64, as far as I can tell, is the exact same as the Imperial Knight ones of page 108. So like that page, Imperial Knights 108, the first page of stratagems, and the Chaos Knight one, exactly the same. You know, maybe not word for word, so I think there's probably a little bit of difference, but I'm pretty sure they are both the same, 90% of it. I could be wrong, but I looked through them and I think they're about the same. Next page, which is page 65 and page 109, and the Imperial Knights one, they are almost identical, except Iron Hell Heavy Stubbers in the Imperial Knights one is not there, but it's kind of Infernal Households, which is the next page, but instead of it, you know, being -1 AP, it becomes strength 5 on all the Heavy Stubbers. That's kind of equivalent. I'd personally prefer the -1 AP, just at strength 4, strength 5. You might get more wounds, but only against certain things. Certainly having -1 AP I think is better, though I don't rate the stratagem in general. You then have Titanic Duel, which is an odd one. I think it can possibly give you and your opponent extra attacks. So I'll read it out. Use this stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select 1 Chaos Knight model from your army that is within 1 inch of an enemy Titanic unit. Both players secretly choose a number between 1 and 3. Either write this number down or use D6 that is hidden behind your hand. The numbers are revealed, and I mean I presume D6 and roll as D3, you know. The numbers are revealed at the same time. If they differ, then until the end of the phase, add the number you choose to the attack characteristic of that model, but attacks made with a melee weapon by that model can only target Titanic units. So, add the number you choose. Now, I'm going to assume it means like you, as in, you know, you. I mean, I suppose you don't actually choose the model within, you know, the opponent's Titanic one. I hope they just clarify that, you know, you as a player, not both of you, you know, the person who activated the stratagem gets the extra attacks. The point is your opponent's trying to stop it with their guess, but Who knows? I could be well wrong on that. Maybe when I first read it, I was like, do you both get it? You know, if you both choose differently, add the numbers you choose to attack characteristics of that model. Suppose that model is singular. So I would say the intention is that your opponent's trying to guess what you're going to go with. Are you going to go with 1 extra attack? Are you going to go with 2? I really don't want you to get 3. For 1 command point though, that can be pretty good, and it's a good mind game, so I really like that one. I just want them to clarify it is only the Knight player that the Chaos Knight player that gets it. But still, really good. You also have Trail of Destruction, 2 command points. I think this was in chapter approved. Use the stratagem when a Chaos Knight model from your army fires Overwatch or is chosen to shoot or fight with. Till the end of the phase, when resolving an attack made by that model, you can reroll hit rolls. Fantabulous, really, really good. Being able to reroll all hit rolls on an Imperial, don't judge me, on a Chaos Knight is very, very good. Certainly if you go with like the dual wielding Avenger Gatling Cannon, that's 24 shots and you get a reroll all misses. You can reroll the hit roll, when resolving an attack made by that model, you can reroll the hit roll. So it's even if you get negative modifiers, you can choose to re-roll those ones. It's not failed hits, it's hit roll. So even modifiers, I believe, then you get to re-roll, because although it's technically a successful hit, and then modifiers apply, I'm going to choose to re-roll it. So it's good that they do acknowledge that the modifiers in that one do apply. Other ones I'd say are pretty good. I'm pretty sure there is one that, again, stratagems you get in Imperial Knights get that I saw, rotate ion shield, which is good. What's the one? You have devastating reach, which allows you, I think, to target things and buildings in a way. It's quite a good one. Yeah, generally pretty impressed with them as well. You have that one, the guidance system one. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Sky Reaper Protocols. Nope. Demonic guidance system, that's the one. So like you want to fire shield breaker missiles, yeah, you can target a character and all that jazz, which is extremely painful. So yeah, really, really good on that one. We've then got 4 stratagems each for the Iconoclast household, and then 4 for the Inferno households one. And I think this is where it really becomes, I think, a little bit more, in my opinion, towards the Inferno household's benefit. So the Iconoclast one has break the enemy lines, use the stratagem at the start of the fight phase, select one enemy unit within 1 inch of the Iconoclast household models from your army that made a charge move that turn. Until the end of the phase, when resolving an attack made with melee weapons by the Iconoclast household model from your army against that unit, you can reroll the hit rolls. So basically it's another way to get rerolls to hit. You must choose an enemy unit that has been charged and it gets, with melee by Iconoclast, they get hits resolved against them, get to reroll. It's not a way for reroll hits, it's kind of nice in that one. Then you've got vows. Now, how the vows work is that you can only use them once per battle, and they can't be selected to have multiple vows on them. So basically it's like almost upgrading a knight, giving them an extra rule. So one of them, Vow of Carnage, until you use it on one of them, until the end of the battle, keep a tally of enemy models destroyed as a result of attacks made by the model, adding 1 to that model's attack characteristic for every 10 models destroyed. The model cannot be selected for the Vow of Dominance or Vow of Beastlayer stratagem. So, until the end of the battle, keep a tally of the amount of enemies destroyed as a result of attacks made by this model. So you could, and then for every time you get an extra attack, so you could just march down with the Avenger Gatling Cannons, just spray down models with that, and you're maybe going to kill, you're certainly going to kill, if you go for chaff, you're going to kill maybe 10, maybe 20 if you do stratagems, to try and absolutely blitz them. But that could be 2 attacks straight up in your first turn extra, and then you spray another bunch of them and you get more attacks. That could be really good. I'm sure there's a way people are going to really build up those attacks to become ridiculous. Love to see if you're like facing horde armies and you just absolutely Avenger Gatling Cannon them to death, heavy stubbers as well, and you just absolutely brutalise. So, because it's just done for a result of attacks made by a model, and I'm presuming that's going to include shooting attacks. So cool, yeah. Extra attack characteristics, that can be good. Vow of Dominance, until the end of the battle, when resolving attack made against this model, an unmodified roll of 1, 2 or 3 always fails the respective abilities that the model or the model making the attack may have. So I think there is a similar one. in the Imperial Knights one. I can't remember which one it is, but I think it's pretty much in there as well. Involve the Beast Layer until the end of the battle when resolving an attack made by that model against an enemy unit that contains any models with a wound characteristic of 8 or higher, reroll a wound roll of 1. So that's basically if you're fighting anything that's big and heavy, if it's got an attack, a wound characteristic of 8, which is most vehicles, you know, you get a reroll wound rolls of 1. Yeah, I always say that being able to reroll wound rolls is nice, but again, these all can only be done on 1, and I'm pretty sure is that wounds of attack. So yeah, that does, I believe, actually affect, you know, attacks made by the model. That should affect them in shooting as well, so that's actually pretty nice. You know, if you attack something, you know, in the shooting phase with this Valve of the Beast Slayer, that's actually pretty good, and you've got loads of ranged weapons, you're firing at something big, then yeah, reroll wound rolls of 1 is actually pretty good. There's not many ways in this way to reroll wound rolls, a couple of ways to reroll hits but not wounds, and I think that's actually pretty good. Now that I look at it, I'm like, So here's some cool ones though, for the Infernal ones. We've got the Bind the Souls of the Defeated. Use this stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select one Infernal household model from your army. Until the end of that phase, when an enemy model is destroyed as a result of an attack made with a melee weapon by a selected model, roll 1d6. On a 4+, selected model regains 1 lost wound. Each model can only regain up to 6 wounds as a result of this stratagem in the same phase. Oh boy, that's a nice tasty one. 2 command points, but say if you're like Titanic feating, you're just about to Titanic feat a bunch of chaff, you just absolutely smash them. For each model you kill on a 4+, you can get a wound roll back, wounds up to 6. That could be really nice. There's going to be situations where it's going to be, nope, not going to happen. But that is really nice. I really like that one. And when you're going to be losing mortal wounds by choosing your ability, you know, from the household self, that could be really good. Pacts with the Dark Gods. Use a stratagem when an Infernal household model from your army is destroyed but did not explode. Roll 1d6 at the end of the phase. On a 4+, return that model to play with d3 wounds remaining, placing it as close as possible to its previous position, more than 1 inch away from an enemy model. This stratagem can only be used on the same model cannot be used on the same model more than once per battle. 3 command points, and again, that is similar to House Tyrannus in Imperial Knights. I think they've got the same one. David once used it on me, and he got it, and that House Tyrannus one absolutely wrecked my day. So yeah, nice to have that one as well, but it is on the Infernal household only. Demonic Ammunition, this is the one that essentially allows you, you know, before the battle you can make all the heavy stubbers come strength 5, don't really rate it. And then Demonic Diabolical Rift, use the stratagem at the start of your opponent's psychic phase until the end of the phase when a psychic test is taken from an enemy model within 12 inches of an Chaos Knights Infernal household models from your army. From any Chaos Knight Infernal household from your army, that enemy model suffers Perils of the Warp on any dice roll instead of a double 1 and a double 6. So 2 command points, but your opponent could be Green Knights, they could be Thousand Suns, they could be demons. You know, to be able to go, right, cool, you make any psychics and you're near 12 inches towards one of my knights, you're gonna be suffering a peril if you even attempt to cast any dice roll, not any double, any dice roll. That's awesome. That's a good psychic defense for an army that really doesn't have psychic defense. I like it. And it makes sense because Infernal, I'm pretty sure, is like the demon-bound ones. So all those are pretty good. So my view on stratagems in themselves is that they've taken a lot of the good ones from the Imperial Knights one, and not all of them, but a lot of the good ones and put them into the Chaos Knight one. Hands down, pretty good. Let's go into Dreadblade. Pacts and Damnations. Works almost like your free blades in the Imperial Knights. Yep, same sort of idea in that one, is that, you know, you get your pacts, which are your bonuses, and your damnations, which is your bad. I won't go into them too much, but basically your pacts, Path Glory to kill big things. You want Demonic Vigor, which is similar to Peerless Warrior, a bit too random to rely on. What one is that one? Peerless Warrior. No, it's sorry, this one. It's Demonic Vigor, which is, you know, when it's chosen or generated, roll a d6. On a 1-3, add 2 to the model's move characteristic. 4 or 5, improve their weapon skill, which, yeah, okay. And then 6, add 1 to ballistic skill. So it's a bit random, but you know, it's not bad, you know, it's pretty good. And then, you know, that's to kill big things, Damnations, Volatile Reactor, could lose more wounds, Warp Fate, Fugue, maybe not so ideal. Warp Fugue is basically, it always fights last in the fight phase, so, you know, not ideal, not great, but not bad. Combat, you might want to go Path to Glory, which is basically, you know, against Catcher Titanic, you can reroll hit rolls. Now, technically, you could do that in shooting as well, that'd be really handy. Thunderous Charge, after this model finish a charge move, roll a 1d6 for each enemy unit within 1 inch of this model. For each roll 4+, that unit being rolled for suffers d3 mortal wounds. Certainly good if you multi-charge and you just might cause loads of mortal wounds. And then Demonic Vigor is still a bit risky, but you know, it can help as well. And then you've got Damnations, which I said, Warp Rage. It's probably one to lose if you're combat orientated. Whilst Damnation applies, you cannot fall back, and Bliss skill is 6+. If you're dual wielding major weapons, then it's only really small weapons, so it's like your heavy stubbers might hit 6, who cares? You know, the heavy stubbers are okay and all. And then the fallback one, a bit of a pain, but if you're going to go rampage and, you know, and slaughter, kill it all, and it means you can't fall back. So yeah, okay, you're a raging Chaos Knight who wants combat, why would you want to fall back? Now, and then you've got Volatile Reactor, which again may cause more wounds on you. Basically, while this damnation applies, roll a d6 at the end of each phase in which this model lost any wounds, but was not destroyed. On a 4+, it loses 1 additional wound. Not ideal, but again, if you've got to choose Damnations, go for it. Now, we come to the Artifacts of Tyranny. Now, I'm not big on artifacts in general when it comes to this, you know, in 8th edition. I think many of the codexes, especially the early ones, have just many relics. I'm like, I just don't dig them. When I reviewed the Gene Stealer one, that was probably the relic, and you know, I learned more, but when I started doing the review of the codex coming out, I started looking at the relics more and more. From Necrons, which I find have some of the weakest relics. Chaos Space Marines is okay, Tau is okay, you know, they're not like, I would never consider them great. Gene Stealer though has some great ones. When I looked there, it's like, that's a really good one, that could work well, it does work well. Chaos Knights I think has plenty of good ones, Again, not as many as Imperial Knights, and I don't know if Imperial Knights ones, they've got many good ones. I think they do. Theirs is quite well written because again, you're targeting all Titanic stuff. So it's kind of easy to write ones that go, oh, it's, you know, instead of like in most codexes, you go, oh, I've got to think of ones that help that, help this, help this. It's very easy to write to when it's a very similar codex. So, diverging. Gene Stealers I thought was really good, and then the next codex on, which I believe, you know, there's Chaos Knights. Again, I am very, very pleased with them. And both those codexes made me go, I think I would spend those command points to take an extra relic. You know, there's some nice stuff in here. So let's go into them again. We've got Blasphemous Engine, Infernal Household model only, other than Dreadblade model. A model with this relic is considered to have double the number of wounds remaining for the purpose of determining what roll to use on the damage table. Very, very nice. You know, it's basically, you know, I think Elder have that as like a trait, and a few other ones do as well. But it basically means that you've really got to damage this model, otherwise it's going to keep going. We've then got, what's the next one I said, it's pretty good, Veil of Major Guard, which is essentially a 4+ invul against attacks made with ranged weapons, so it upgrades your invul save. Handy, handy, handy. Cornet Target, and that's one they showed in Warhammer Community. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase, a model with this relic can activate it. When it does until the end of the phase, invul saves cannot be made against attacks made with melee weapons by this model, and invul saves cannot be made for that model. Switch off invul saves. There's going to be situations when that is going to be stellar. You know, absolutely, you're fighting custodians that are like holding you back with their, you know, storm shields or anything like that, and you just want to be like, no invul saves, stop it. I think there's times where that is going to be rocking. Depends who you face, obviously, but you know, I really like that one. I was like, hands down, awesome. Helm of Warp Sighted, Knight Rampager, Knight Desecrator, Knight Despoiler model only. When resolving an attack with this with ranged weapon by a model with this relic, ignore hit rolls modifiers. So that's Knight Rampager, Desecrator, and Knight Despoiler. I'm pretty sure that's gonna say no to the Tyrant. Darn it! But still, on the Despoiler is good. On the Desecrator, it's not bad, and Rampager is not bad. Basically ignoring hit modifiers is going to be, no Elder, none of that. It means that you don't get any of the bonuses, but it means that, you know, people who love to do -1 hit, nope, not today. Yeah, I can see that being used quite a lot as well. What ones have we got next? The Tyrants Banner, Knight Rampager, Knight Desecrator, Knight Despoiler model only. While a model with this relic is within 6 inches of any friendly Chaos unit, adds 1 to leadership characteristic for each of those units. At the start of your turn, if your army is battle forged, a model from your army with this relic is on the battlefield, roll a d6, and on 5+, you get a command point back. So at the start of your turn, so it's basically at the start of the turn, you can gain a command point. That's really good. You know, I'm not big on these sort of get more command points back, especially if you've got to spend command points to get them, because you might go low command point army, similar to what I do Necrons, and I'm like, well, there's no point because I'm on average going to get 1 command point back because I go in with low amounts. But this at the start of your turn gives you a good few opportunities on a 5+ to just get an extra command point. I can dig that. That's pretty good. I know some people love to get more command points, so yeah, pretty good. The Putrid Carapace of Nurgle. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon against a model with this relic, if the saving throw is successful, roll 1d6 on a 4+. The unit that made the attack suffers 1 mortal wound after its attacks have been resolved. Now I could be wrong, and I've mentioned this one about Lucius. I believe it's more or less kind of like the Lucius rule as well, except I think his, no, I think it's all armor saves or something, but this is basically any saving throw. So, you know, it's only been melee, but I think that's for every attack. So you get attacked by 120 orc, you know, guys coming in, hitting you, trying to chip away your armor. They don't do a very good job of it, and you make a bunch of armor saves, and I believe it's every attack in a 4+ they can suffer mortal wounds back. That could hurt. Now, if it was like 1 mortal wound can be caused after a unit has fought, then I'd say it's pointless, no good. But every attack in melee, that could be good, because you're going to withstand a lot of attacks. You've got a 3+ save, so, but it takes a lot to bring you down. I think that's a really good one. I need to try it, but I think that could be really, really awesome. And then we have Bound Viridian Psychoghast, which is when resolving an attack with ranged weapons by a model with this relic on an unmodified wound roll of a 6, the armor penetration characteristic for that model is improved by 1 for that attack, e.g. AP 0 becomes AP -1. So that one goes on any of them, so that could probably go on your Knight Tyrant with the big guns. Whether it needs more AP is debatable. But yeah, you know, more AP, really good. May only be on 6s, but very, very handy. And yeah, and then there's a couple other ones. But generally, I'm quite impressed by those relics. I think they are really good. Again, you don't get as many as the Imperial Knights, because I think they get more because they've got household spread. Basically, each of the households get individual ones. But, and I think all of these are more or less, you know, spread out. Only the Blasphemous Engine, which is the Iron Inferno household only, and then the Veil of Morgurn is Ironclast household, so they're your only specific ones. But the rest of them are kind of general, so that's really, really good. In general, I really, really like it. So yeah, I'm pleased to see good relics. And then last thing we come to is Warlord Traits, which you only get 6 in this, as opposed to the Imperial Knights one, which I think you get 6 general ones and you get 9 specific. You don't get any that I believe are Icon Class or Inferno, you just get 6 general ones, and none of them pretty much impressed me. There are some that are okay. I won't go into them too much because I've already gone into this too much detail, but the Warlord Traits I do think are the weakest part of this codex, and maybe it would be nice to have an Icon Class one and Inferno House one, that would have been nice, but you do have Warlord Traits where you can choose on there as well. So that's kind of it. You know, I've maybe gone into a bit more too much detail than I really wanted to. What I'd say in that one is, when it comes to Chaos Knights, I'm just generally happy they brought it. The advantage of Knights is that they do give a general Lord of War choice to both Chaos, so you can add a Knight around into your, you know, your Death Guard army, Thousand Sun army, though you do have Primarchs. Maybe into your demons, maybe you're going to go Infernal Household and, you know, it's a demon, super demon bound Chaos Knight that rolls around with demons. You know, and then you obviously got your Chaos Space Marines as well. It's really just nice to have this book. I don't think this is something I expected to happen, certainly after having Renegades at Chapter Approved, but it's super nice to get it, and having those stratagems and certainly the relics do add a huge amount to the viability of Chaos Knights. The new model itself looks fantastic, and I just think this was something that we didn't expect. I'm very thankful to have it. You know, there's been let's not deny it, there's been a huge amount of love for Chaos recently, a huge amount, and don't want to say maybe slow down. I'm a huge Chaos fan, and obviously we're going to be, most viewers are going to be like, we're Chaos players, because that's why you're looking at this video probably in the first place. Maybe there should be more stuff towards Xenos, because we're getting a lot of love here. But I'm certainly thankful for this one. And I'm certainly thankful that the stratagems and relics are very well done. You know, alright, okay, many of them are from the Imperial Knight one, but this general trend, certainly from the Gene Stealer one, which had a very good stratagems and relics, shows me there's more focus when it comes to stratagems and relics. And I hope that going forward, any other codexes that they do review, they now can go in going, yeah, we know what makes a good relic and we know what's making a good stratagem. Certainly the early ones, they didn't know what they were quite doing with stratagems and relics. After all, it was a whole new game system. How can you judge them on that one? But I now feel with the experience that they have with writing the rules, they are improving. Whether they make them, you know the term broken, overpowered, but they do make them much more viable, and I see that as a big strength in the Chaos Knight one, and it certainly does add a lot to Chaos in general. So thanks again for watching. Please comment, share, like and subscribe. Generally I'm super happy with this, and I want to hear what people's views are as well. This is something, you know, don't want to say we didn't deserve, but it was something that was not expected, so I'm super happy for that, and I want to hear what people's view on it as well. Now obviously the main thing people are going to say is that, you know, you have to buy Imperial Knights and then convert them to actually get most of these units here. Fair enough, you know, okay, that's kind of it. But I still want to hear what people's comments are on this, so much so because I'm super happy about it. So I want to hear different views and opinions, and I'll probably review that, you know, over the week to hopefully comment back and you know, have a discussion with you guys over it, because I'm super excited. So yeah, that's kind of it. Check us out on social media. I've been doing a lot of painting recently of my first models really painted ever. You know, I've never really painted before, and I've came into time that I can now, and I'm loving it. It's Chaos, by the way. I'm doing Chaos painting, and it's a challenge, but I'm loving it. So I'd love to hear some comments on Facebook about that. And check us out on Patreon so you can help support the channel, bring you more content, because we absolutely love doing so. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on our Tabletop Assault Battle Report.